Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Alright guys, welcome to War Room episode 26. We're doing a Q&A episode tonight, and everybody, as usual, has been talking my ear off during the intro. Eglar is supposed to be joining us, but he is having some terrible internet issues, so he will be popping in and out intermediately. Hopefully he can join us for some of it, but if not, we appreciate him trying to be on anyways. So we have Jaeger here to fill the much-needed 5.5 slot. So let's go around and introduce everyone. Siri, you're always late.
I am Siri, and apparently Raffle blames everything on me.
Yeah, you gotta have somebody to blame it on. That's fine. And Jaeger.
Thanks, Siri.
I'm Jaeger of Steel Jaguar. I haven't been here since the first episode.
That's true, man. It's been a long time. You didn't even have a webcam back then. It was all like sketchy. True. I didn't know how to do any of this. It's been a long time. Welcome back.
Did you even stream back then?
Did I? I think I just started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was like
still a long.
I think we both started streaming on the same day. Like that was the beginning.
Yep,
that was the same week at least.
It was like the beginning of the competitive scene having a presence on Twitch. I think it was so long ago, months and months. And then we have Dark Lord of the Sith.
Yeah, I'm a duo, no light pellet for House of Lords. Better than Wispy.
For the record, how do you pronounce your name correctly?
It's really Cyrodex. Hugo.
Eddie Hugo, got it. Alright, and then as I mentioned, Eglar is present but missing, and he'll be hopefully able to figure out his connection stuff and join us in a little bit here. But otherwise, we have the Sleeveless as always.
Hey guys, Eagle Falconhawk, still Blackstone Knights, most average pilot. We still exist, damn it, at least until Monday night potentially. And as always, still the chief lobbyist for the Abolish Slavery movement. Thanks for having me back on, Ruffle.
Thanks for being here, man. I have to say that is my new favorite avatar in the whole world. Your Abraham Lincoln abolish slavery.
Well, thank you. My it really shows off my mad Photoshop via MS Paint skills, eh?
It's pretty impressive. All right, guys. So tonight we wanted to do obviously no patch, so a little bit of a down week. We wanted to do a Q&A, but first let's talk a little bit. Whose name did I misspell?
Eglar's.
Oh god damn it. Oh yeah, Elglar. It's fine. He's not even here. No, I'll change it in just a second. We're going to do a Q&A episode this week because of there not being a patch. So we're going to do that, but first let's talk a little bit about the tournament. We haven't had a chance to talk about that, so just go around and give your opinions. I know the thing that most of us are probably going to want to talk about is the rankings and rating systems. So, but yeah, how are you guys feeling? You looking forward to it?
Of course, it's the first official tournament that PGI's put on besides the NVIDIA thing back in closed beta and the launch tournament. So it was great. Official team-based event, sorry.
Yeah, we've had the individual stuff, but it's fun to actually get an actual tournament with actual prizes too. That, I mean, it's hideous, but I can't wait to see that skin on the battlefield.
I fucking love that skin.
Oh, I know, me too, because it's garish and bright, and when you get killed by a mech that's super like bright pink, you're gonna be like, oh. So, but yeah. So tournaments getting started. First matches are this Sunday. That should be a blast. Who's everybody's first round matchup, guys?
I wonder who.
Well, for the Blackstone Knights, we've been very cleverly faced against Steel Jaguar first round. As we kind of saw, the big drama in this tournament was rather than setting it up kind of in a regular 32-team tournament where the goal of the person organizing it is that the best 16 teams get through and then the best 8 get through the next round. They've kind of got it set it up so that Team 32 is playing Team 31, and the second worst team is going to get through, which is a strange way to do things. I mean, I kind of get it. They want everyone to go out there and have a good time, and so be it. But SJR, see him on Monday night.
Yeah, it should be some fun matches. Personally, I am irritated at how they did it, because it passed up an opportunity for, say, the last 4 matches to all be like top quality close games, and with the bracket how it is currently, there are going to be some stomps in those last 8. But personally, in terms of as a competitor, I'm kind of okay with it, because in my head it's just 4 games to win no matter what. I don't care which order we face people. That's where the focus is. 1 game at a time, just get to the finals, win that. So, yeah. Competitor, okay. Spectator, disappointed.
Wait. You're disappointed as a competitor, not a spectator? Or yeah.
Yes, I am disappointed as a spectator and a commentator,
not
as a competitor.
Okay. I don't know. I think that I don't know. I think there'll be good matches still. The beginning will have closer matches than the end, obviously. That's how it's seeded.
Yeah, on that note, there really are some interesting first-round matches.
Yeah.
I'll maybe let Addy talk about his match against SWK, but there are some interesting first-round rounds we should talk about.
Yeah, I mean, the SWK versus Hall match, it's like, yeah, it happened too early. It would have happened anyway, but it happened too early. I'm kind of the opposite of Siri in that I think it's better from a spectator perspective, the way it's set up now, than it is a competitive perspective. Because it's not a competitive tournament right now with the way those the brackets are set up. But spectator-wise, you have some really interesting matches, like Eagle was mentioning, like you have the CSJ versus 228th match. That's something I'm really looking forward to, personally.
Yep. Well, the reason why I'm disappointed is because I think those would have happened anyways, but with how they're happening in the first round, there's not going to be as much emphasis on it, as much advertisement. So people are going to be tuning in to the like the semifinals and the finals, and these teams will be already gone.
That's a good point.
Okay, I understand what you mean now. That makes sense.
Speaking of other first-round matchups, you mentioned 228th against CSJ, which looks like an interesting one. Another one I'm excited to see is Templars versus the return of the Antares Scorpions. It is, I'm told, a Templars unit that, as opposed to normally they have a banner structure because they have 5,000 members or whatever it is, and within each banner they have some pilots who are probably take it very competitively and some totally casually. I'm told for this tournament they've picked the top pilots from each banner, so it's the best that the Templars can put out there right now against Antares, a team that had a lot of success in the past and has a lot of those pilots back for the first round.
I'm also looking forward to the SIG CJF match. I think that's going to be good.
There's a bump with that today. They're showing Russian Jade Falcon is already winning it over SIG, even though the match hasn't happened yet. I think they fixed it though.
It was already like on the website that they had won.
Yeah. I want to check it now, see if they fixed it.
Yeah. I'm excited. I think it'll be fun. I'm actually going to be casting Sunday. Siri, I think you're going to be helping out with that too, aren't you?
Yeah, I was going to say, as much as I am disappointed from the bracket-wise as a spectator, this is really fucking exciting from the actual casting perspective, because this is we're going to have access to the spectator cam for this, and it's still, like, this is a beta tournament, this is an alpha spectator cam, but it's still better than what we've had in the past. So
yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
And if you want to see what that's like, we had the RHOT match between SIG and SJR was shoutcast by Raffle and Phil, and they used the spectator cam. So I'll see if I can find that and link it up for you guys in chat.
Perfect. Well, I mean, unless there's anything else you guys want to say about the tournament, came here to answer some community questions. You want to get to it?
Just a quick one last thing on the shoutcasting.
Yeah.
The shoutcasters are going to be Phil will be working one at a time with myself, Raffle, the Magician, and Ed Meester. Did I miss anyone, Raffle?
Not that I know of.
Okay, so the four of us will be working with Phil to bring you guys the show of as many games as we possibly can.
It's going to be good. I don't have anything to do on Sunday except for that, so I'm excited. Then I have to actually, of course, play on Monday. Curses. Dying and such.
Okay, so Q&A time?
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it. Alright,
Oh.
so we posted on Reddit and on the actual forums. I delved into the forums just for this. So we got a bunch of questions. First one is from...
Just a quick question. How do we want to go about this? Do we want to group it by topic, or...?
I mean, we can. I was just going to kind of go down the list. If we come across a question that's been answered already in the discussion, we can just be answered that already.
What you're trying to say is you didn't beforehand group them by topic.
No, I was studying for finals.
That's valid.
I will not lie to you. I am not 100% prepared. But you, Siri?
I was scrumming SWK, but
Yeah,
from what I've read, there are basically 4 questions, and that's 1, our group behavior, 2, the effect of clans, 3, game balance, and 4, where is it? The actual skills and controls. So those were the 4 main topics that we were asked. Do we have a preference on which one we get into first?
Not at all. The one on top of my list is the performance one, how to get better.
Okay, let's go with
Let's
that
start
one.
with it. All right, so we've got a question from Rain Tuga. I hope that's how you pronounce your name, but I'm terrible at that, as we all know. How does one improve their skills on jump sniping? What should a player look to or practice on in order to improve from a decent sniper to a good or great sniper? Any tips or tricks you can share? I recently started using arm lock while everybody's face is in the way of me reading. Recently started using arm lock while jumping, for example, and I really think it was the how the fuck didn't I do this before kind of thing. Another one would be, how can a pug make the transition from becoming a competitive team player? Would you accept a player without any experience in the comp scene or even experience besides pugs? If yes, would you look in at such a player who probably doesn't have much practice in 12-mans? And so I think that's basically a question of how do you get better? How do you enter the 12-man scene?
So should we start with that one, or should we start with the jump sniping one?
Let's start with the first part of it, which is the how does one improve on jump sniping?
Do we have a great jump sniper in this room?
I don't know. Hold on. Let me check.
Oh, God.
I don't know
I'm
who
a
to
light
ask.
pilot, so...
Who's that Jagger guy? I've never heard of him.
All right.
Jagger XII. Just kidding. Keep going.
My
That's good
advice
Minnesotan.
My advice to improving your jump sniping would be, well, I mean, we've kind of gone through a few iterations of how jump sniping works before a long time ago in open closed beta. You get your jump jets, you just float up, there's no screen shake, no crosshair shake or anything. And we've kind of had to adapt through every time they've changed it, from your entire cockpit shaking to now just the crosshair shaking. As you know, your crosshair doesn't shake while you're falling or are on the ground, but when you are jumping, you have to hold down. Your crosshair shakes all over the place and you'll get a very inaccurate shot. The only weapons you really want to use while holding the spacebar would be like lasers. You can adjust to put them on the target. Now, for jump sniping, my advice would be to go into the testing grounds with take a optimized mech, because practice how you're going to play, basically. Find a mech, find like the Alice, for instance, on the testing grounds, and stand off about 400 meters and just jump into the air and shoot them a few times. Just get the feeling down for letting go of your jump jets and hitting the target. Once you got that down, stay at 400 meters and start moving perpendicular, like back and forth, and jumping while moving, hitting the Atlas. And if you can hit him 4 out of 5 times doing that, good. Then I would suggest turning around, facing directly away from him, and while in the air, doing a 180 jump snipe. And if you can hit him 4 out of 5 times from there, then you're good. Move out another 100 meters and repeat that whole process until you get all the way out to about 900 to 1,000 meters. And once you can hit a target doing a 180 jump snipe while moving and not having seen it before at about 1,000 meters, hit 4 out of 5 times, you're doing pretty good. Then it's just a matter of practicing once you're in matches and the enemy's also moving. So a good place to start would be in testing grounds.
Now, the question for you, when you're saying hitting the target, are you talking about just hitting it in general or hitting a specific component?
At 400 meters, you should be hitting a specific component. Past like 700, past even 600, sometimes it's going to be difficult to hit a component. You just want to hit the mech, basically put damage on them. So yeah, at that point, just try to focus. If your enemy's not moving, try to keep putting it on a specific component. But just the important thing is getting your shots in, no matter how far you are. Every time you see an enemy, that enemy should be taking damage if you're playing a sniping mech.
Yeah, I think that sounds like pretty good advice.
Kind of an advanced tactic if it's someone who's good and looking to move to the great level is cutting the jets. So if you happen to know that you've got someone looking at you as you're sniping, take a little hop, get just the top of your mech above what your cover is, and then let go of jump button. They're probably going to alpha, thinking they're catching you on the way up. As soon as you hit the ground, you can immediately jump up and sometimes get your alpha off on them without taking any return fire.
Yeah, with
Yeah, that's a lot more advanced, but absolutely, you want to be cutting your jets early. You want to be doing as shallow jumps as possible. You want to be practicing aiming and hitting your opponents in air-to-air jump shots. All that stuff's really advanced. Using your jump jets is crucial to making those mechs perform to their limits. Dodging, cutting your jets early, all really important.
Quick question for you, Jagger. On that practice, are you doing it with a building in between you and your target, or are you just open ground?
Do it from all over. A building would be better. You don't always have that luxury, and depending on what map you're dropping on and how much time you want to spend doing this. But yeah, always be trying to give yourself a difficult shot, except right at the beginning when you're just trying to get the timing of releasing your jets and shooting the mech. Other than that, be trying to put obstacles in their way. Be trying to make it as difficult on yourself as possible.
I guess another tip to go from good to great would be remember that heroes don't look at the explosion, they just walk away. So after you get your shot, you want to immediately be torso twisting in the air. Just trust your reticle is going to turn red. You're going to hit that, and that way if they're firing back, you're taking it in the arm that you're intending it to and not center torso.
It's not basketball. Your follow-through doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as you see that red crosshair flash, you know you did your job. Just get ready for the next shot.
Generally, I have the feeling that jump sniping literally comes by time. Well, when I started pretty late, probably later than any of you guys here. So when I started, it was double ER PPC plus Gauss. There was no Gauss recharge mechanic yet, and I basically just played jump snipers like for 1 month straight, and I got it down. There was no real practice, and I feel that general accuracy, basically knowing how much you have to lead, plays a great role. It's actually more important than jump sniping itself, and of course what Falcon mentioned earlier, that you generally take shorter jumps. The shorter your jump, the better you're off. As long as you can just get your shot off and then get into cover immediately. I mean, a lot of people start with jumping really high and releasing, so they can release the jump jets and have a lot of time to adjust their aim. But I think it all comes with just playing the game. The more you play, the better your accuracy becomes with jump jetting.
And a lot of it comes down to game sense too, because the better you know the map and the better you know the position, if you have somebody else who has a lock on a target and you can jump up and know exactly how high you need to jump from a given location, then you can just center your crosshairs on that target, jump up and take the shot with the minimal amount of jets and expose yourself as little as possible. So, it's practice.
I still shoot a lot into invisible walls when jump sniping, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
So I think the other part of the question was, will teams take people who are new to 12s? And I think the answer to that is certainly depends on the team. Some of the very, I think, top teams are looking for players that have been around for a while. But I think probably every single one of us started somewhere. I know that's I came from straight pugging and found a team that was taking new players, and they kind of taught me everything I know. Advice I'd have for that is just check the ego at the door. You gotta listen to people. Your decision making won't be as important as your ability to follow instructions for your the first while as you're getting into 12. So just keep that in mind.
Well, House of Lords, we picked up Peepers just randomly out of the blue. He wasn't in any teams before, and I think he actually just started pretty recently. He's been playing over 4 months or something. I need to ask him again. But I mean, it really just depends. Like, if you really impress someone in like a pug game, I imagine some teams will ask who you're playing for, and will send you some kind of notice.
Yeah, some teams do recruit, but if you're looking to go out there and find a team, just legitimately ask, what are you guys about? Are you okay with taking new players? For instance, 228, what we do is we have casual players, and we also have competitive players. And on occasion, those casual players want to put in the work to become competitive players, and that's noticeable. We have a system in place for you to just talk to people, demonstrate your abilities, and then move up. So I'd say that there are definitely teams out there who are more than willing to take a pug and turn him into a competitive player.
Yeah, I'd say a ton of them.
Yeah, 7 Legal weren't in any teams before they joined us, right?
Right. Sometimes you just find a diamond in the rough and you invite them to come practice with you a few times, and it works out well. So SGR has picked up a few people with no previous, at least MechWar Online competitive experience.
The common thread for those two that we picked up, though, were that they were just completely driven and they were open to learn. And I'm actually still just astounded how quickly they did learn and how far they've come in a short time.
Yeah, be open to criticism. The people that are on these competitive teams have been playing the game usually for a long time, a lot of experience, and you'll learn a lot if you just keep that in mind. And if somebody's trying to correct you or tell you to do something, it's not an attack. It's going to be them trying to improve you.
I would say when I first moved from pugging to playing with organized teams, I went on my skills from 1 to 10. I went from, in my first 9 months of playing the game pugging, I maybe improved myself from a 1 to a 3, and in a single month playing with organized 12s, I probably went from a 3 to a 6. You'll improve so much faster once you start playing with good players.
I like how careful you are not to refer to yourself as too good, because you have to maintain your being the most average pilot. I can't be like a 7. No, 6 is close enough to 5. Okay, there we go.
6 is right, nice middle number.
At this point, I have to say I got picked up too. Basically, I wasn't really playing any competitive matches. I wasn't even intending to, and then I actually got asked by Cafe Angst, and somehow it just worked out. And it's actually incredible when you reach a point where you, at least from my point of view, where you saw that you can only improve by refining your aiming skills or other things, and that you land into a team of good players, and they teach you all sort of things you've never ever thought of before. You can really learn a lot of stuff in a 12-man's team or in a competitive team with players who already have experienced so much more than you in this game.
Yeah, it's one of the things that keeps me in the game. There's so much fine little, things you can do to improve your game. It's because of the way the game works, the modular hit locations, the long distance fighting. It's all, you keep learning every single day, and people that just play pugs and stuff don't always realize all the little things there are that they can improve. It's great to see. So I would suggest everybody join a team at some point. Playing the 12s and even in a group is much more rewarding than playing pug.
Yeah, I agree. Is there anything else we want to talk about on this question?
Perhaps a few recommendations of which corps are good to look at? Or is that too political?
I don't know. I mean, to be
Good
honest,
point.
I don't. Yeah, we'll take in a lot of people in terms of, but don't expect to just like be on the competitive team. We have a very casual side, so you'd really need to demonstrate that ability to shift in between casual to competitive play, and that is about dedicating time. I spent months proving that I was a serious player, so just be ready for
I
that.
would say maybe a great idea here would be if someone could throw the Mercstar TeamSpeak into the channel for anyone who's watching. It's a TeamSpeak that's very dedicated to teams that play competitively. So if that's what you're looking to get into, hop on there. And there's I know there's a lot of teams that are on there pretty much full time as their main TeamSpeak, so it'd be a good place to start.
Yeah. Do we anything else on that question? Oh no, we lost Jaeger.
I think we should move on, so this isn't a 3-hour
Agreed.
war room again.
So another question along that same line from Bleaker is, I live in Australian time zone, originally applied to team. I've enjoyed playing as a team, and I was wondering, are there any opportunities for Oceanic players to get into leagues or type of comp play, or is it difficult to organize with Oceanic time zones? It's incredibly difficult. As of right now, there are no leagues. We're really sorry. We wish there were. We wish there were more teams in that part of the world or that time zone, but there just aren't. And so, basically, what it comes down to is, Aguilar, what time is it for you?
11:42 a.m.
Yeah. So it comes down to that. Like you gotta stay up late or be up early or have really flexible work schedule, which sucks. But there's not really much you can do about it right now.
I remember about just over a year ago, I was still in DHB, and I was helping out 4th Battalion, which was the Oceanic Battalion, and I'd be waking up at 3 a.m. to play with them.
Oh.
That is
And
rough.
we actually had a inside the unit tournament where we played them, and we had our entire 8-man team wake up at 4 a.m. to play.
Oh. See, that just
Sounds
So
fun.
dedicated.
Well, to be fair, at that time I was unemployed, and I definitely could not do that now. But the time zone problem is the biggest thing, and part of it is the lack of a local server. All of them have to deal with very bad hit reg.
Oh yeah.
But
So I think
hopefully, I have heard some rumblings that actually DHB 4th Battalion was getting back into it. So I'm hoping that they're able to galvanize something of a scene that comes together. Unfortunately, I'm not an expert on that, but I should probably reach out and see what's going on there.
Yeah.
Well, from my point of view, if it's possible to schedule matches at the weekend, Oceanic and Asian players could actually play matches with NA primetime, really late, and it's weekend, so you probably would play your game 10 a.m. if you are in Asia.
Yeah, now that we have private matches, we have the ability to do match days instead of weeks. Like before, it used to be, all right, we're having a tournament, schedule your matches in this week or 2-week period, meet up at the end of the week, we'll set up matches for the next week. We should just do match days now. We should be like, all right, this is the day, this is a weekend, we want this to be a big tournament, doing a bunch of matches today. And then we do the next round like they're doing with this tournament, although I think it should be all on weekends because that's the most time that people have available for video games. because people do have jobs in school.
Yeah, but PGI work on a weekend? Come on, man.
Dude, I'll do it for free. I'll just sit there and be like, all right, your servers are fine. Casting the matches anyways, like.
Let's keep it
Before
rolling.
we
We got
get
a
too
big
off
list of
topic.
questions.
No, we're fine. So that's about it on the team stuff. So that I think the next topic we could move to is either.
Actually, there's one more question in this vein.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, this one's from Magna Canis.
Oh yeah,
Similar to the Oceanic question. Quote, my question is, do any of the above have the time or desire to do some 1v1, or whatever, training in duels in a private match for solo and or people looking for any other means of improving the game or testing themselves? Since I live in Germany, I don't encounter many of the mentioned players in the public pool often, usually in the mornings for me, so I've yet to approach any directly. And so this is more directed like to you guys. And do you have any interaction at times where a European player could approach you for help? Or do you know of anybody who could offer help to a Euro?
If you can play on Sunday, there's so much cross between European and North America on Sunday. It's early afternoon or early evening and late evening kind of matches pretty well on Sundays, I think.
Yeah, I'd be open to it. If the White Pot wants to go fight me or ask me for help, I'll play with them. I mean, just don't expect me to do it all the time.
Yeah, and I think lots of people are actually more than willing to do just fun games and stuff like that. The community isn't quite to the point where top players are going to be charging for like training time, although that'd be awesome.
Not yet, no.
Jaeger, come on, get on that. Be the first. Do it.
The semester's over for me now, so I'll have more time during the days. I could probably a couple days a week play earlier, stream earlier, answer questions. We'll see.
Yeah, so I think the opportunity is definitely there. Okay. Now do we want to move on to the another vein of questions?
Okay, so there's game balance, there's clans, and there's fourth one that I forgot already.
It's like the matchmaking
Behavior,
playstyle,
like
behavior,
matchmaking and what we're doing with lobbies, etc.
Clan mechs. Let's do it.
Okay. So
Damn it. No, I'm just kidding.
the most general one is, what clan mechs do you see having an impact on the competitive scene?
The Ryokan, or the hands, will disorient teams like SJR because Jaeger won't be able to shoot them. That's
Or
what
will he shoot them so accurately to make them fall off?
Oh, that's true. Quite true.
But no, seriously, which ones out of the clans have the most promise right now in terms of hitboxes, in terms of possible weapon loadouts, etc.? I know we don't know much, but we have enough to speculate.
I would go for the Saw because according to lore, it's got jump jets, one of the few clan mechs that has jump jets, and in addition to the fact that you can mount basically Omni slot to it into the arms, so you don't have those OP high mounted hard points, but it will literally make more or less a Pop-Tart, because like the quick draw, it just lacks the more or less the ballistic hard points. The IV4 is not a very good example of mounting ballistic hard points into a bag, but I think the Saw will be basically one of the mechs that fits into the current meta game, with having jump jets, with having ballistics and energy hard points fully. And well, yeah, that's my first tip regards of clan mechs.
For me, my top three are the Nova, the Summoner, and the Daishi.
Yeah, Daishi I think is going to be a powerhouse just because the weapons come out. That's really the only reason. It doesn't look like it's going to have like good, sniping capabilities or even brawling capabilities with how big the CT seems to be off the concept art. But I mean, those weapons will still wreck you no matter what they're on.
Yeah, if you can actually put... Siri, what was the ridiculous combination we came up with? Based off of...
The one
combining
I like
the Prime and the
best-
B, which is 4 UX and 8 ER mediums.
The one I liked the best was the 4 UAC 5 and 6 ER medium laser.
That one.
Daishi.
But yeah, that kind of fucks shit up.
And like that's not even scratching the surface of the potential what's going to be fucked up with it, because like whichever clan weapon comes out ahead, it'll be able to use in mass. It won't have the restrictions of like, you know, crit slots being locked because it doesn't have Endo and Pharaoh. It just has a XL with like, I think it's 50.5 tons of space. So it's going to be a monster. It's not going to have the soft stats and potentially the high mounts, but it's going to be scary firepower. Same deal with the Nova. Jagger, you've expounded on the Nova before. Do you want to do so again?
Yeah, I see the Nova being pretty powerful, and not only with its prime setup, but you could take all those ER medium lasers, which, by the way, clan ER medium lasers are 7 damage each, and are the same range as our large lasers. And you could put ER small lasers on, which are 5 damage each and the same range as our medium laser. It's got 6 on each arm, jump jets, so it can pump 2 30-point alphas into you half second apart to get away from the ghost heat. Well, unless they do something else with clan weapons ghost heat. But that thing popping out, putting 60 damage into you and fading away is going to be pretty powerful. The only downside I see to it is its arms look enormous. So medium arms, you know, things 50 tons, that's I think 32 points of armor on the arms. That's a quick couple alphas away from being gone. So the thing's arms are going to pop off, but if it can just sneak around, that thing will be absolutely devastating, even with small lasers. And putting the small lasers on at half ton each, you can put even more double heat sinks on that thing. So Nova, I think, is going to be really strong.
So, question for you. You said that it'll have to sneak around. How viable is that sneaking around in comp play?
Well, there are certain mechs that can run mid-range. Like right now we use the Hunchback 4P in that capacity. You just hang out the mid-range, you kind of weave between the mechs. It looks like it's going to be really stout, really kind of short. So I think as long as it doesn't get focused down, it could hang out in the mid lines quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how that one plays out. That's the only, that and the Direwolf are the only two that we're waiting on models for, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. Damn it.
Professor M's get fixed. I imagine we're going to be fighting each other closer than we typically are already. So it could, you know, be one of those mechs that just stands behind another and takes pot shots all day long. Kind of like what Jenner does now.
Yeah. Oh, Siri's timing people out. Siri's driving the banhammer.
The last
Serious
one.
face. Just kidding.
The last one we haven't discussed. Wait, Eglar, you discussed the summoner?
Yeah,
I mentioned it,
Oh,
yeah.
you.
all
right.
for the summoner.
The one thing I'll say about the summoner is that as far as a sniper goes, all of its points are really low mounted. If you look at the model, and it's going to be very exposed for counter sniping. Like if you look at the current heavy that jump snipes, it's the Cataphract, and it's noticeably squishier than everything else. And what it has going for it is those 2 energy hardpoints are mounted just right at the top of the shoulders. So as soon as your cockpit peaks, you can fire the PPCs, get down, and if played right, you have the least exposure out of any jump sniper. So, and the summoner won't be able to do that.
It might be able to make up for it with its potential Alpha Strike. If they keep clan ER PPCs at 15 damage each, that summoner could be, even if it just had 2 PPCs spitting out 30-point alphas with tons of heat sinks. Now, you could probably even fit a Clan Gauss on that thing, because it has an XL engine. It has Pharaoh and Endo at 7 crit slots each, right?
Yep.
And so it could be chucking out 45-point alphas like the good old days with no ghost heat, potentially. And lots of heat sinks with ERPPCs, so it could make up for its deficiencies in geometry and hardpoint locations. and the actual physical locations where the shots are coming from by just raw alpha just sniping potential.
That's one of the things I
So-
keep thinking about with the Mad Cat is that, like, an 80 kph heavy with 2 ERPPCs and an AC-20. And oh, by the way, those ERPPCs do 15 damage. Like, if that's still a thing, and granted, that's actually one of the questions that somebody asked, I'm not keeping up with them very well, by the way, is that, like, how do you think clan weapons will work? Because we don't know very much about the PPCs. It could be interesting, because that 15 damage is so much. Like, for a PPC at 7 tons? I don't know. It just seemed, it'll be interesting.
Do we know it's going to do 15 damage?
No,
We do
sure.
not.
I remember specifically, do you remember our old friend Garth? Garth had said specifically that the clan ERPPCs would do 15 damage over his dead body. He did get canned about a month after, so maybe that's
There's
the
a dead
reason.
body,
No one really knows, but I don't think it's for sure that those ERPPCs will do 15 damage. So I don't
It has
think we
not
should be
been
counting on it
confirmed
yet.
either way.
Also, with the burst fire mechanic on the ultra autocannons for the clans, I think we'll probably be seeing a lot of Gauss for the sniping builds anyways, Gauss ERPPC instead of the autocannons like lots of our Innersphere mechs use right now. Unless they increase the projectile speed or something, or the burst is super short, like it just spits it out, like it's, you shoot out an UAC-20 and it just craps it out in like a quarter of a second, maybe then you still see it. But Gauss is probably going to be the way to go with clans, and their Gauss rifles way less. So
Oh god, that's right.
there's that.
Man,
So,
it's gonna be
Before
so
we
crazy.
wrap the clan topic up, does anybody want to go down and list out why the other 5 are not in your in the list?
Because the Kit Fox is a Kit Fox, because the Mad
You want to talk about
Cat's-
the light mechs, Siri?
Sure.
God.
Actually, Addy, if you want to take the light mix.
Oh yeah, alrighty.
Alright. There's
Dark Lord of Evo.
I'll be right back.
I think it's just mainly that they're slow. You can't change the engine on them. I think the fastest one they go is like 97.2 kilometers an hour. That's medium territory. Yeah, they do have the massive amount of weapons compared to Innersphere mechs, but they don't have the armor. One alpha from a standard meta mech is still gonna screw it up, and since it goes that slow, you won't be able to dodge anything either, or even get a position to really take your shots.
How fast does a mech need to go before it actually starts dodging shots?
So like 135, 140-ish. I wouldn't dip below 135 in anything, even a Raven.
So, do you see a role for them as a budget medium, perhaps, if they pack a lot of firepower?
Maybe. I mean, I guess. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be people playing them just for the nostalgia value, but it's like, I guess it depends how tiny they really are. I mean, we don't really have the pictures we've seen of the mechs. We don't really have height comparisons compared to other things. So if they're really small, maybe. I don't know. I just have to play it.
I agree.
Okay.
The Masakari won't be viable because the arms are way too low slung and it's entirely energy reliant, which means on an assault mech you're going to have the same problem. Like, nobody uses an awesome, nobody uses stuff like that, so unless they do a hero version like they did with Misery for the Stalker, you just won't see them in competitive play.
Wait, you will be able to mount ballistics in the arms, right?
There's a Masakari with ballistic arms?
Yeah. Because it's all Omni. So basically you can mount, as long as it's arms on clan mech, you can mount any type of weapons into the arms.
No, Eglar, they changed that. It's still hardpoints, but you switch out
Oh,
the arms from one variant to another.
So like if
Oh,
there's a
okay.
variant
That's
with
like
ballistic
that.
slots, you'll be able to use ballistics, but I don't know if is there a Masakari with ballistics?
I'll go look.
I'm not sure.
But
Save that question. Last
yeah.
one, Mad Cat, Timberwolf. Why?
Hard
If you could take out the missile pods.
hitboxes.
If you could take out the missile pods, like if they just disappear like they do with Thunderbolt or something, maybe. I don't know. It's like a it's like a catapult, pretty much.
Unfortunately, you still have the situation where all the I think the weapons are very low slung, even if you have the missile pods off there.
Sure.
So it's kind of like
it's
a
fast though.
It's as fast. A lot of people run builds like that anyways. People like their Orions, people like their, some people run Awesomes, etc. It's going to be operating almost the same way. It's going to be a pretty powerful pushing thing, I would think, between Streak SRM6s, regular SRM6s, the autocannons, Clan Ultra autocannons you can pack on that thing. It can be pretty devastating in a push deck, I would think. Especially if, like Adi said, you can take the missile boxes off the ears if you don't want to run SRMs.
Mm-hmm.
I was gone for a minute. Did you guys mention the potential massive abuse from Clan LRM boating?
We did not.
We did not.
That is going to be potentially savage because all of their LRM launchers weigh half the weight that Innersphere ones do.
Yep.
Half.
Yep.
So, if
I
there's a
didn't
mech
know that.
out there that can mount 4 LRM 20s, etc., even though they've already said they're going to fire out only a few at a time, that's a lot of LRMs.
Doesn't matter. It's
Especially-
still, yeah.
Right. It's going to be devastating, even under 180 meters. It's going to be pretty silly. So day one, I expect some serious Clan LRM abuse and
You
probably
mean-
nerf soon after.
You mean I'm throwing dual lambs on whatever mech that they give me with dual lambs
Yeah, that's
and
the
just
other
running
thing
around all
about
day?
Clan mechs. You'll have the weight. You're just like, you know what? I just want to put LRMs on this, and you can because it's Clan mech, and you have that space. The Innersphere mech, you can't just be like, I want to put an LRM on this mech.
You're gonna
Doesn't
see
work like that.
the beginning of decks that actually have multiple ranged weapon systems purely because
Yeah,
you can throw
absolutely
an LRM
savage.
launcher and a ton of ammo on, and then when you're at that stupid long engagement range that everybody hates, where you're at 1,000 and you're doing like a couple points of damage per alpha when you're jump sniping, you're like, oh, I have an LRM 5. Like, it'll happen because it only weighs a few tons. Like why wouldn't you? Especially
Well,
now that we
even that-
know what maps we're going to be able to play on. Segue, by the way, I believe that was a question. But
You
Actually,
talked about
I
the
actually
doom of
had
light
a-
mechs with streaks yet?
Please don't.
All the people, all the people right now that love their medium like Kintaros and Shadowhawks, their boats, Streak SRM2s, will probably on day one be running whatever, maybe even the Timberwolf with like 4 Streak SRM6s. The doom of light mechs. It's here.
So
It is.
apparently the counter to like Streak SRMs is AMS. How well is AMS going to work against this?
Well, they are stagger fired. They'll be shooting off 2 at a time, but it's still not. I mean, AMS still isn't really effective anyway against big streak mechs. So even a fire
Well-
starter S with 2.
If you have a Timberwolf with 4 Streak SRM6s,
you're boned.
and that's going to be firing 8 per wave. Right now, an AMS cannot handle 8 in a single wave. So maybe the half of the first wave gets knocked out, but the second and third wave are hitting you for the full thing.
Yeah.
So
If you are a
Yeah,
single light mech
fuck
with
streaks.
dual AMS and maybe you have the advanced range AMS module,
nope,
then
you need at least like
you'd
4
survive.
to 6 AMS to save your ass
Yep.
from a single Timberwolf with streaks.
Not to mention the fact that it also has an AC-20 and 2 large lasers that's popping you.
Not to mention if you round the corner and you're sub like 150, the AMS won't do any good.
Yep.
I wonder if packing on more missiles like our poor catapults will stack extra, size onto the Timberwolf ears. I hope they do it right. Don't do it, PJ.
If I remember right, the Stormcrow comes with a XL 350, right? That makes it run 100 around 120 with Speedwig. It will run literally as fast as a light, just slightly slower. And the Stormcrow will be able to pack streaks as well.
Is that
So
real?
you can be.
Somebody who actually has looked up the builds, I'll do it if not. But is that true? Does it really do 120?
Yeah, XL 300.
Light mechs are dead. There's no
on a
point.
medium mech.
There's no point. There's no wonder clan light mechs don't matter if they can't go fast because there's no point in taking a light mech that doesn't have ERPPCs anymore. Like,
So the question now is,
Eddie, you gonna stop playing?
Are clan mechs going to be used in competition?
Yes.
Oh, some of them.
No. Are we going to allow them to be used
Oh.
in competition?
This is such a long discussion.
Okay. It's gonna go under restrictions though. It was
So,
topic on that day probably.
There's actually only 2 answers to this question. Yes, they're going to be allowed to be used, and all of them are going to allow to be used. That's the wrong answer. The next answer is you're only allowed to use mechs that are available for C-bills or available for purchase, which means that you can't use hero mechs anymore. Those are the only two options, and like arguing about it more than that is stupid. Like those are literally the only two options.
If they are just broken to the point where competition becomes like you'd have to where they're just stupid, I'd say there is an option 3 where they're just not used period until they're actually balanced.
I think that's
the
I disagree.
nuclear option that we don't want to see.
I disagree with that personally. I think that we've been using the most optimal mechs for this long. There's no reason we wouldn't be using the most optimal mechs in the future. But
Agreed.
they're going to be released 4 mechs at the beginning. I think that hasn't been confirmed, but I think we all understand that the first 4 mechs out, the Kit Fox, the Nova, the Direwolf, and whatever the other one is. Those are going to be the first 4 mechs out. We'll probably get all 4 of those at the same time, and I think the other 4 will be released over the next 2 to 4 months, depending on how they want to do that schedule. But so I think that those second 4 mechs obviously shouldn't be allowed. But I also think that if we're doing that, then that means that hero mechs shouldn't be allowed either. And sorry,
to clarify, I meant like there'd be no mixed tech competitions. Like you could still do clan versus clan, and you could do IS versus IS, but I personally find the prospect of a clan versus IS unlikely.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just thinking about mechs purely from like a competitive standpoint, in terms of what mechs should be allowed to be used at all.
But I mean, if we're looking at the question, will clan mechs be allowed in competition? We're trying to answer a question that's a hypothetical off a hypothetical. How can we possibly answer that until we really know how clan mechs will 100% be implemented? Right? We only have 50% of the story right now, so it's all speculation. We can it doesn't really mean anything because we're building off something we don't really know on. So
the only really concrete thing we have right now is kind of sort out what the hitboxes are going to be like. Besides that, you can't really make a decision on anything.
Fair enough. Any last comment on clans?
No, let's go to a topic I have an opinion on.
Do you like sleeves?
Oh,
Come on, man.
it's a hard question.
Sleeves is it's a cowardly way out of showing your arms to the masses.
Well, while
I'm
Siri
just calling everyone out.
while Siri
right
searches, we have a question from Troglodyte, which is, what's more meta, the Mackie or the Irby? Think hard.
It's a hard question.
So
What?
I'm gonna have to come out here. This is a joke question. I'm gonna have to come out here and say I hate the urban mech. I think that if the urban mech was put in the game, it'd be the most worthless thing in the world. It'd be worse than a locust. It would be literally the most offensive choice you could have. Like if you're trying to make your team lose, you'd be like 3 urban mechs and a lance. And then you just lose because you're totally boned. Because you can go like 10 miles an hour, 10 kph, sorry. I just... Irby's trash.
See, at least with the Mackie, it's 100 tons, so you have just the armor. You know, it's useful, right? Having a body shield, yeah.
Seriously,
Isn't it
the Mackie's more
primitive?
urban.
Isn't that primitive armor, so it's like half as effective?
it's like trash, yeah.
I don't know. Oh, alright.
Did you find
Yeah,
a real?
it's got
Did you
the-
find a
it's
real
got the
question
armor
yet,
of a
Siri?
50-tonner.
The urban mech would have to just be a 1 PVC jump sniper. That's it. Like a bad spider.
The garbage can jump sniper.
You
yeah.
take it in excuse me, you take it in assault and or attack and defend matches, and you just have like 4 atlases and 8 urban mechs, and you just sit there and you're like, assault me, I dare you.
Hey, it would be high mounted.
The Mackie
don't
has
ever-
the pelvis cannon.
That's true. The Mackie does have the pelvis cannon.
I
Okay,
have a
do we
Mackie
want-
as my avatar picture on TeamSpeak.
Yeah, that's right.
It's obviously more meta.
Mhm.
So meta. Siri, did you find a real question while we were babbling?
2 sections. Balance or our habits and thoughts, like our behavior. Which
Let's
do we want first?
do balance.
Okay. These are going to be sort of quicker lightning round questions. Have you seen a noticeable uptake in SRM usage in high-level competition?
Nope.
How
None.
effective are the SRM fixes that have been applied so far?
Fairly.
They've been
Not
useless.
at all.
Seriously? I think they've been okay. I've
No,
noticed
no,
them
it's anything.
especially in like 1v1s and 2v2s, practicing for the little leagues.
I
And
took
I-
out Shadowhawk with SRMs 2 days ago, and I had 3 consecutive non-regs on a Banshee that was like 70 meters away from me.
Wow,
I put him down again.
I have not had that bad of an experience with them because I've been using them. I will admit I haven't used them in like a public 12, but I put them all over a stalker for some 2v2 practice, and they were getting like decent reg even on light mechs. But Eagle and I were actually talking about it before the show, and we think that it has something to do with the number of players in the match, because the less players you have in the match, it's probably the less calculations that have to be made, and so SRMs reg better in just those like 2-player or 4-player matches.
Yeah, it's something I've definitely noticed. If you get in a 2v2 and you bring out something rocking a whole bunch of SRMs with Artemis, and take something like a Cataphractor or an Atlas that's very broad, it's gonna wreck them. But it's only in 2v2. I take the same mech out in a 12, and it's totally hit or miss. The other weird thing is I seem to notice it's game to game. I'll have an entire game where I'll seem to get good-ish registration the entire game. I'll go with the next one. It's trash the entire game, right? And so I'm not totally sure why that is. Fingers crossed that there's a third fix they have to SRMs that's allegedly coming soon. So fingers crossed that it does help things out a little bit more.
That would be the fabled Buckton fix.
Yep.
Also, Ruffle, new topic on the.
Oh god,
Thank you.
I'm terrible. I should not have made this part of the overlay.
Okay. What are your opinions on? Sorry, the last question was courtesy of Kamikaze Viking. This next one is courtesy of Calamando. What are your personal opinions on the usefulness of many consumables like UAVs, Coolshot, Arty, Air, etc.? Let's keep this one short. Volunteer.
I'll go. Consumables are stronger than any of the available modules right now, besides advanced target decay on LRM mech. Other than that, you're better off just taking the consumables. They not only help yourself, but help your team. Most of the other consumables are kind of just for you. Airstrike, Artillery Strike can kill mechs, can leg mechs, assault mechs included, etc., and no other module can do that. UAV provides non-stop LRM locks. It lets you see when an enemy is going to jump so you can counter-snipe them. All the consumables are far stronger than the regular modules, and they're never going to go away because they're excellent C-bill syncs, and that's exactly what PGI and IGP want.
Yep. Basically, if you have 3 module slots, it should be an airstrike, an arty strike, and then if you have LRMs, it should be advanced target decay. If you're jump sniper that's hot, it should be cool shot, or if you're a brawler, it should be UAV. There you go.
And should note that UAV and the Air and Arty chain a little bit, and that a UAV that's up, even if you don't have LRM boats, tells you when there's a great opportunity to throw down an Air and Arty strike.
Has anybody ever tried bouncing an Air or Arty off of a UAV?
I was about to say that.
Because I'd never
Can you
thought
do
about
that?
trying it. I mean, I'm assuming it's a targetable thing because you can shoot at it. You'd have to make sure that your little meters are correct. But hypothetically, if the enemy threw up a UAV, you could drop an airstrike on it, and then it would hit their team because it's bound to be near their side of the map.
I'll try that.
Testing time, guys. Let's do it.
Hopefully someone watching right now will pop into the game and test that out.
Please.
You can test it on the training grounds. It won't even cost you your modules if you do that. Help us out.
Okay, if it's a no consumable environment, what are the best regular modules?
Target info, seismic, and then it depends on you, I guess.
Target decay?
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
target
target
decay and seismic.
Seismic. And
Agreed.
as Beef would say, target info gathering.
Yeah, that
Info-
one I think is. I run target info gathering normally on my pub games anyway. Run that already air, and I mean it's a slight difference, but it's just so useful since I'm in an Ember. You know, I need those unarmored components no matter what they are. Unless it's like an empty arm or something.
Right, it'd be dependent on your role. For a sniper, getting that target info is not necessarily as important because you're only going to see your opponent for a split second. Having the advanced target decay will let you keep track of them after they drop down right away. See if they're about to jump right back up, you can get them again.
I actually like advanced target range for my Raven. Allows me to get locks out to about, I think it's 1,000, and that's pretty useful.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. Are pulse lasers viable weapons?
Large pulse lasers have the best heat to damage ratio in the game, so I mean, if brawling ever came back, could they be used?
Again, I've been using them in 2v2 practice, which I know is not like the competitive meta or anything, but they do have a place in for something now. I've been using large pulses.
Yeah, large pulses are really good. Medium pulses are better than they used to be. And small pulses are utterly worthless, and I'm serious, nobody should ever put them on their mech, ever. 90
Yeah,
meters is not enough.
Even though
Under
they
no
want to.
circumstances should you put a small pulse laser on your mech.
But Jaeger, what if you have the large pulse or the small pulse laser range extender module? I'm kidding. I didn't even actually know what it was
no.
called.
Laugh
Kick you
at
out
you
of
for
channel
wasting your
if you
GXP.
weren't the broadcaster.
Shut down the stream. No, dude, I don't even think I think I sold all my small pulse lasers. Like I need like 10,000 C-bills. I need
Yeah,
my
the
40,000
thing about them
C-bills.
is-
I need another Artie.
They function decently in a dueling perspective, but they do not scale because their range is so goddamn small. When you're doing a light furball and it's like a 3-on-3, 4-on-4, oftentimes the guy you're shooting at is about like 200, 300 meters away from you. And that's just because he's directly engaging another guy in your lance. So small pulse range just doesn't cut it then. Same with small laser range.
Yeah, we'd be better
And
off just
I-
going with mediums.
And even the medium pulse laser, there's a few builds where it kind of makes sense where you don't have either the crit space or but generally the crit space, right? You have 2 extra tons and only 1 spot left that it would make sense, but it's tough to justify in most mechs.
Yes. I was going to say, like in direct comparison to normal medium lasers, medium pulse lasers, just lose in literally every aspect.
They're too heavy.
There
you
is
wanna put them on a light
usually
mech,
something
just-
better to do with tonnage, like tonning up with your engine and stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
Next.
The next question is kind of a big one, so I'm just double checking there aren't any other ones. If SRMs didn't automatically detonate at 270 meters, and instead just their engines cut out and they had a ballistic drop, would that be enough to, or would that be a perk to them that would make them used?
If they regged, I mean,
Yeah.
I'd like to see that there.
Not
Yeah,
if
that'd
they
be a
didn't
good-
explode. That's
You know what that would do if you were standing on the backside of a ridge and you could aim up at the proper angle, like with your arms. Like you hit control and just flipped your arms all the way up and had arm-mounted SRMs. You could lob SRMs like artillery over hills at people that are jump sniping you.
Yeah, it'd be a
So-
good buff to them. I would like that.
That's how I wish non-Artemis LRMs were in the game. A real indirect fire weapon that you don't need a lock for.
That would be fun. Then you run into the problem of like how do you target stuff over a hill though, because you'd want to be able to target at like a distance, so you'd have to
Right,
be able to.
There's a lot of games that have you've played games that have mortars in them or something, and the way
Yeah.
they target is you see the line, the arc that goes out over, and then there's like a circle on the ground or something, and just move that circle around, and that's where they're gonna land.
That's true. You could just have like a key for it that would just be like show indirect. Yeah.
Yep.
I like that. That's a good idea.
Okay. So the question, the next one, was, what does balance look like? What needs to be fixed?
That's like a war room episode entirely.
We don't have a time. We
I
don't
can
have time
take
for
this.
that.
I can take this in 2 minutes. It's going to
Okay.
be super fast.
Rant time. I can just
Right,
read that.
balance.
That
Biggest 4 changes. Jump jets, still too powerful. Nerf them so that all of them perform like the Highlander. Second, strikes. Way too much damage. No other module does this. It doesn't cost any weight.
Nope, you're wrong.
Just the one slot.
It's not too much
increase
damage.
their-
They just shouldn't headshot.
Shop Raffle. Increase their cooldown, increase their time to drop, decrease their damage, up them to be a suppression mechanic instead of a damage mechanic. Third, turrets. They break assault. There are too many of them. Lerms go to 1,000, and their heat is too high. They kind of force base camping, and they severely disadvantage the aggressor. Reduce it, get rid of the Lerm turrets, only 2 or 3 medium laser turrets per base, and preferably a game mode that just removes them entirely. At least for competitive play, we would use that. Fourth, invisible walls. so many invisible walls on maps just make certain positions completely untenable. Theta on Canyon Network is horrible for it. Fighting up and down ridges on HPG is horrible for it. Crimson Straits, the high area on the deck, those wires that crisscross, really terrible. All of those just make certain positions on maps way more imbalanced than they should be. So that would actually be a game balance fix if invisible walls were improved. And from there, the only things remaining would be like assault and heavies, just in general, are still a little too fast. There are more changes than that, but those are what I'd say are the big five.
I would say that the invisible walls thing is the thing that like sticks out to me the most. I personally disagree with you on air arty. I think that I think that headshots should be reduced damage. I don't think you should be able to just one-shot an enemy mech with air arty, but I think that you're talking about severely cutting damage, and I think that at most like 5, maybe 10 damage per shell should be cut, because you still want, when an arty goes down, people move. It makes the game shift. Like, people have to get out of positions or take damage, and that's important, because otherwise, like, have you played a no error or no arty, like that's the only restriction match lately?
I have.
They're awful.
They're okay.
I actually thought that was our best match. I have the best match I've had. The House of Lords versus SJR, no air arty. It might have just because we were fighting SJR, but I mean,
I don't know, man. They just feel so boring because you're just sitting there jump sniping, like the whole time.
In my opinion,
it also opens up pushes though. That like during our last game, we were on River City, and we like had a brawl, then we disengaged. If air arty was there, there would be no disengagement. People would be dead instead.
I feel
can see that.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I mean, like, that's kind of one thing I really hate about them. Yeah, they punish camping, but they also punish like coordinated pushes so goddamn hard if the enemy team gets a good strike as you're pushing.
That's true.
Yeah, and the time from smoke to boom should be increased to at least 10 seconds, I'd say.
See, that I can understand, but like, because that does, it's way harder to arty a push, but it still makes people move out of cover. So I think that increasing the time should be a priority over decreasing the damage. So.
I feel that generally introducing air and RT or making them viable makes people move more, but it's not necessarily a good way, because it ends up with people rotating around a stupid rock or whatever there is, partially because they fear arty, and I think everyone knows that counterclockwise rotation around literally everything. You can rotate it. Most likely on Caustic Valley, for example, around that caldera, that you just the enemy team tries to catch up with your stragglers, you try to catch their stragglers. It's not necessarily a good thing, because it also limits the gameplay. Slower mechs are getting left behind, so you can't pick a slower mech. I think we've had, I was in a different lands, but we were pugging and chopped against chopped with Jäger and Siri and Eddie on the same team. We had some pretty tough opponents like Sun Cobra or Heimdelight a few games in a row, and on different maps we just kept rotating around. Like River City, we rotated around the Citadel. On Caustic Valley, we rotated around that caldera. And people who were on Adlai or people who were on Miseries just got left behind and got killed. So basically, there is it brings more dynamic, but I personally don't think that it's necessarily a good thing.
Okay. I was wrong. There's actually one more question on game balance.
Okay.
how this is from Travelbug, and he is looking for a strategy for mid-elo players that are running into a lot of lerms, especially without ECM cover, of how they can fight against that.
Alice K, dual AMS.
Over DDC.
Or DDC.
Well, so if you're outside of ECM cover, truthfully, probably your best bet is something that can do its damage while staying behind cover, which is a Pop-Tart, right? If you're taking a mech that has to engage the enemy up close, and your problem is there's a bunch of learn boats on the other team, well, they're going to hit you, and if you're not behind cover, you're going to take them, right?
I guess you could also do some kind of quick brawler. Like something with AC-20, just close that 180 gap.
Find a group to drop with and have one of you bring ECM.
Yep.
I think that's kind of the criteria.
UAVs.
Is that a lot of the Lerm meta comes from people running pre-mates with Lerms.
Way to counter that is to run a pre-made of your own.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what it comes down to. You can run like an ECM mech with AMS just in case, and that will help the people around you tremendously, but then you're still just one person, and coordination is really huge in this game.
Yeah,
And this is a whole...
At least try to get the pugs to work with you. If you see there's a pug on your team, there's a Raven running around, ask him to stay with the group to provide cover for the Lerms, to give you guys ECM. If he doesn't, that sucks. If he does, then you just increased your odds of winning by quite a bit, just by typing into chat, Raven, can you come cover us with ECM? So skill extends outside of just your own abilities. You being able to communicate and get your pugs to do things with you also really helps out.
Yep.
Not just that, but also from Lerms, so make sure you're giving them a weak side. And oh god, there was something else I wanted to say, but I forgot. I blame this.
Wow.
You regret those sleeves on your shirt. That's what you're gonna say.
Yep.
You know what, Eagle? I'll roll it up after this, but actually it's already rolled up. I'll roll it up further for you. But I just want to throw my 2 cents in there. I absolutely fucking hate the current implementation of Lerms. It's not their speed. It's not the fact that they can do, that they spread and that they can be. It's the fact that they can be spotted indirectly, and it consists of putting mouse over reticle that somebody else is doing the work. I see 0 skill in this. Okay, well, I see 0.1 skill in this, but actually getting into how I would fix it would take way more time than we have, which is negative. So,
Negative.
I think the problem is that Lerms are being counted, like PGI was trying to balance Lerms by countering it with game mechanics instead of, like, on the one hand you have low skill requirements, like Siri said, pointing your cursor onto a huge reticle is not exactly what many people would describe as hard, but then you have those hard counters like ECM. So you just need 2 ECM mechs, and there is no way a full company of 12 Lerm mechs could break through whatsoever.
I forgot what I remember what I forgot, rather. It was keep your eye open for UAVs, keep your eyes to the sky. If you want to spot them easy, use thermal and shoot them down immediately.
Don't get narked.
If
you get narked, you're dead.
If you get narked, run the cover of your nearest ECM mech.
Yep, pretty much. Okay.
That's all for game balance.
Yep, let's try and get through these last couple quick and close it out.
Okay.
So the last ones are basically just on like dropping and
just various things.
Miscellaneous, we'll call this category.
Actually, this one segues, but with the capability to select certain maps in private games, If a top-tier team knew what maps they were going to be playing, would they stick with running the current meta, or would it shift to different configs for certain maps?
I think you bring LRM boats, at least maybe one on Caustic Valley or Alpine Peaks, for sure. You bring like ERPP or ERPPC Gauss on Alpine Peaks, possibly.
I think that you will see it change and develop the longer that we have these public matches or private matches, and the ability to choose what map we're on.
The other thing you might see is a colder map, certain builds maybe dropping a few of the heat sinks that they have. Or you see sometimes people running a 5 medium laser Gen-RF instead of a 6, right? Well, if you knew you were going on Alpine, you might as well take the 6. So if you knew the map, certainly the mech build would change a little bit.
Yep. I think that's kind of all there is for that one. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay. How often do you play non-meta in the PUG queue?
I still like my Orions, my Orion VA with 4 SRM 6s. I like that, man.
You're saying you've played games in an Orion VA?
Yeah, I don't.
You're saying you haven't?
I can't say I'm just saying the day I see Addy not in an Ember shooting me in the back in the PUG queue, I'm just going to be shocked. I'm just going to just shut down my computer and just go to bed because obviously I'm hallucinating at that point.
Something's wrong here, I'm out.
Sometimes he shoots you from the front.
Highlander 7-3.
Yeah, occasionally.
I have 25 matches in a K2. I mean, yeah, that was because Jaeger forced me to unwillingly, but I still have them. Thanks, Jaeger.
I've got I think 73 mechs, and I think they're all mastered. So I've played a lot of non-meta.
Same.
I play about 50% non-meta.
You gotta have fun, otherwise you go crazy if you just practice and play completely serious the whole time, or at least I do. So
let's point out that it is sometimes still fun to play meta mechs. Winning can be fun.
Oh no, winning is totally fun
as well,
but you need variation, or at least I do personally.
Whenever the queue is not completely angry, i.e. multiple groups running around with victors, I'd like to play less optimal builds, like, a 2ER PPC Shadowhawk.
Yeah,
Dragon
that's basically
Flame.
how it goes for me as well. I play non-meta mechs until you run into multiple groups running like three Victor, 3D or whatever, and then it's time to go business.
I think
So can I say, as a gentleman who's normally playing against Jaeger at night, normally we feel we've achieved a moral victory if we've beat him once and forced him into the Dragon Slayer. At that point, he's going to win against us the rest of the night, but we have a moral victory against him. We force him into business time.
Business time?
I think playing meta is not a problem. The problem is really that there is so less variety to the meta. Like, there is only more or less one really viable all-rounder build, which is basically Victor Cataphract with 2 PPC wars or 2 PPCs AC5s.
Yep.
But
I really don't
if they brought in, like, let's say another build that would be, or more builds that would be equally viable, then I wouldn't think that so many people would actually complain about meta or say it's boring. I mean, it is boring to play the same build over and over again.
Should we move on to the next question? Do we have more
Sure.
in the queue?
Yep. I think we've
Yes,
got
we
like
do.
one or two more.
I'm going to skip the one that asks, do you GG close? Out of
Why
everybody
can't I
here,
answer
only
that?
one person does, Addy. And-
I don't think Addy GG closes that much.
I only do it when like someone bitches in queue or like in lobby. It's funny because then they get mad and then people like disconnect, and it's really funny when that happens.
Yeah,
That's the only
like
time.
There was the
so
other
so
night
I'll-
on stream one guy who said, fuck, it's SJR, I'm out, and suicided.
Yeah.
So-
no. Well, no, we had a
Happens
12-man
every once in a
team.
while.
We had
People
a guy
need
in a
their
12
their skin
We got
thickened.
I never
12-man team.
would see
Shot
a
it.
thing. Never GG close someone.
I think
Alright, but moving on from that, before we get too hung up, would you prefer Elo being visible? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes. Oh god. Not necessarily like direct elo, but the tiers at the very least need to be visible. Because there are some people who try to like argue with on the forums or something, or they give advice, and it's just like it's obvious they don't really know what they're talking about.
let's just get like the StarCraft rating, like bronze, silver, gold, diamond, platinum,
Yeah.
or platinum, diamond, master, whatever. Like just get something like that. You don't need to show us the actual number. You don't need to nitpick, but like bracket. Come on.
And it could potentially happen. I know when they were talking about going to 3-3-3-3, they were talking about basically instead of having specific elo ranges, just 3 buckets. So you fit in one of the 3 buckets. So at that point, you could have bronze, silver, gold. Although how would that work? Because you have a different elo for different classes, right? So combined.
I think you could.
Really know.
No, you could just do it for each one.
Yeah. Or whatever you play the most. Just
Yep.
have that show up.
You could choose which one you get to display. So like if you're a really good light pilot, you could choose to display your, diamond light elo instead of your bronze assault elo. Not that that's usually the case. Like if you're a decent player, you're a decent player all around. But yeah, I agree on that. Next question.
Next question.
I love Siri just sorting through this for me. I have to try.
You're welcome. Anybody here use Sweet Effects?
I think I'm the only one that does. I mean, hey, if you think it's cheating, watch my stream. I mean, I have it on the stream. If you think it's cheating, you're stupid. Anyway, I just like it because it makes things pretty. It increases the color saturation. Caustic isn't gray anymore. Crimson isn't gray. The cars are actually red. It's nice.
Try that. I have to say,
Similar vein.
I was just going to mention, I know that there were other like graphical questions related to that. I just turned all of my stuff down to low the other day. You can see so far.
Oh yeah.
I don't even understand. Like, it sucks that I have to play what is a high at low settings just to maintain my advantage, or like just to be playing on par with everybody else.
There are a few occasions where you want object details to be high and terrain details to be high, though.
Mm-hmm.
For example, there is one spot on Terra Firma when you go up the ramp into the center caldera, where there is basically on the ground you will see a mech part, a rusty mech part. It's not there when you have it on low, but your mech will like run into it and get stuck into it over and over again. And at some point I'm usually playing on low as well. At some point I just switched my graphic settings to high, and then I saw it actually that there was actually basically a rock mech garbage part, and from then on I knew that it was actually not a real map bug where you get stuck into it, but rather an obstacle that you couldn't see on low graphic settings. There are a few more ones, but this one is, in my opinion, the most obvious one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if other people ever encountered it. I guess light mechs could just walk over it.
Well, one thing to mention is that the distance that trees draw at is directly tied to your object detail setting.
Yep.
It's kind of stupid. Like on Caustic, the 2-line valley, the one that's over on the east and just completely full of trees. If you have your object detail on low or medium, it's just barren and silly.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous that your graphics setting allow you to do that. I think we're just gonna finish up with one more question here. I think we've missed a couple, and I'm sorry to people whose questions we missed, but sleep is important to all of us as well. So the last one we're going to talk about is, here's a question for the panel. Do you guys still drop as 2 to 4 mens in the public queue, and why? I think unanimously the answer is going to be yes, and at least for me, it's because I need C-bills. And because I have fun dropping 4s. I think those are just my two main reasons, but I still play 4-mans all the time.
Reading
Yeah.
between the lines here, I think the guy's saying, like, why do you do this? You're fucking up everyone else's games. And answering that, I think, is just like, if you're running, 3 Dragon Slayers and a Cataphract 3D constantly, and you're only 4-manning, you're a bit of a dick. Just being honest, you're a bit of a dick. So if you're not doing that, then there's really no reason to complain about 4-mans or whatever.
I'd like to say, like, I said it on Reddit before, but I'm kind of glad that the one group per team hasn't yet been implemented, because I play 2 to 4-man groups all the time, and still probably some of the most fun I have in the game is when we're playing kind of late at night, and it's just the matchmaker shows up, and they've basically put 3 4-man teams on each side, and it's just a different scramble. You're running to the same 24 guys every time, but it's just getting scrambled on which 4 or which team, and it's honestly it's the most fun I have in this game, I think, maybe.
Yep, I agree. It's a ton of fun.
Agreed.
To me, if Matchmaker could make the balanced matches consistently, instead of, say, putting a Lords and SJR Lance on one side and, like, nobody on the other, then I think this view of, like, 2 to 4-mans, like, pre-mates, being a detrimental to the pug queue would probably go away if the matchmaker was more accurate. Because, like, half the issue is just people getting put in matches where they shouldn't, just straight up shouldn't be.
Yep. All right. Well, with that, I think we're gonna try and close out the show. So thank you everybody for tuning in, and let's go around and do some shoutouts. We'll start with Siri.
Well, that came out of nowhere. My shout out is going to go to Carl Berg for... I've thanked Nico before for being awesome, but part of, like, the other half of my, like, recent confidence and with the development course has been Carl's thread on the forums, where he discusses, quite frankly, like, just issues across the board as best as he can answer relative to his department in engineering. So it's just another sort of, like, human aspect and good communication. So props to him. And yeah, I'll leave it at that.
All right, Jaeger.
My shoutouts will go to all the streaming that's going to occur next Sunday and Monday for the PGI tournament. The guys doing that, Siri, Raffle, Phil over at NGNG TV. It's going to be awesome to watch all those shoutcasted games with the new spectator tool. So
yeah.
Everybody should check those out.
All right.
That Ed Meester and Magician also will be working on that. I actually did have a second shout out. Shout out to me. I started streaming. Go me.
Attaboy. Self-promotion. Gotta be shameless about that.
This is more than 2 light streamers now.
That's impressive. All right, Eddie.
I guess shout outs to PGI just for actually they've improved a lot in just communication and with the tournament and everything, and just in these past 2 months, 3 months, just done a lot. And also, I just want to remind everyone that Wispy fell asleep during our SWK match and he wasn't able to play during that. I just like reminding people about that.
That's hilarious. We had somebody time out in a 12-man queue and, like, break the queue. We were just like, well, let's try and find a game, and it doesn't cancel anymore. And, like, 15 minutes later, the queue was canceled. Like, what the hell's going on? It's like, I timed out. So that can happen now, by the way, so click your client frequently. Alright, Eglar, thanks for sticking through, even through all your connection issues. We appreciate having you. Give us a quick shout out.
Well, since Eddie already took PGI, my shout out goes to Heim Delight for showing me how accurate he is 1v1s and destroying my mech over and over again.
Tell everyone about your flamer. You need to tell people about your flamer.
I hope you don't sneeze well, Heim.
Negative shout out. Alright, Tribird, Mr. Sleeves.
Mr. No Sleeves, come on, man. I got 2 shoutouts. One goes really quickly to the MWO competitive ladder leagues. It's 1v1, it's 2v2, it's 4v4. I'm gonna say maybe this 2v2 is it's so much fun. If you're thinking about getting into competitive, it's a great way. Matches go very quickly. More importantly, my second shout out, it's summertime, and my shout out goes to people who own boats. If you've got a boat, hit me up on a TeamSpeak, Mercstar, something like that. Let's go wakeboarding. I got a passport, I'll travel. That's it, that's my shout out.
God damn. Okay. I can't really follow that, but I'll try. So, shout out to everybody who's been on the show tonight. Thank you. Apologies to Jaeger, who has been having some cam issues, who I'm sure I haven't contributed, or I'm sure I've contributed to somehow. Skype is terrible, as always. Thank you to everybody who watched. Thank you especially to everybody who posted questions on Reddit or on the forums. And again, tune in, watch me, Siri, Phil, Ed, and Magician this weekend. Well, this Sunday and Monday. Going to be a lot of really fun matches, and I'm really looking forward to that. So, yeah. Thanks for coming out to watch, and we'll see you guys this weekend and next week. Until then, guys.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.